Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Reason fans. Now, I never thought I'd be saying that, actually, for quite a long time. I haven't made a video about Reason for years, and when I first started making videos on YouTube, or tutorial videos anyway, the very first ones I really did were on Reason. And I looked at spiders, particularly, and CV wiring, and what else? Things like the NNXT, and they were hugely popular. Hundreds of thousands of views, which was amazing. And thank you to everybody for all the really kind comments. Somewhere on this screen, there'll be a card or a link or something to the playlist of those Reason videos. And since then, I've been making lots of videos on Bitwig and Logic and Machine and sharing tune ideas. And to be honest with you, I've kind of focused much more on house and techno in the last 10, 15 years than drum and bass, which is what I was writing between about 95, 96 and 2006, 2007. However, I don't know why, but maybe it's lockdown, and apologies for the lockdown hair. I'm not going to even try and do anything about it. It's shocking, and God, I cannot wait for the hairdressers to open up. Anyway, what was that? Oh yes, lockdown. And I was thinking, I've just got so many old drum and bass tunes that I really love, and it would be nice to revisit them. I don't want to redo them, but I do want to maybe give them a bit of a better mix down, because of course my mixing skills in 2000, 2001, 2002 are vastly different to 2021 today. And of course, the range of plugins that we've got, the mastering tools that we've got online, all of these things. I listen back to these drum and bass tracks and I absolutely love them, but I want to make them sound better, and I actually want to release them. So the big thing that's always done my head in with Reason was the notion that I have to rewire them, I have to then route them all through Logic or Cubase, record them all as audio stems, and it's kind of put me off for years thinking about even doing it, to be perfectly honest. That is until I thought, well, let's see if there's a Reason demo out there. I haven't had a look for a while. And what do I find but Reason now have a monthly subscription, which is the way that the world is going. And I'm not going to the arguments of whether that's good or bad or not. I think if you're a previous Reason owner, I can understand why it would piss you off. But for me, this is absolutely ideal. I don't want to buy Reason. I definitely don't want to spend 400 quid on it. And I've learned that having played with the interface again for the past couple of days. But for 20 quid, I can export my projects. I can just tidy things up a little bit. And when I've finished, I can stop. And if I want to do it again for another month, I'll pay the 20 quid. That for me is absolutely ideal. And just to give you some idea, let me find all of my Reason projects. Let's have a look at Reason song files. This gives you some idea of just... Oh, maybe it doesn't. Hold on a second. Let's go a different route. Here we go. So this gives you some idea of all the Reason tunes I worked on years ago, and you can see the modification dates: 2002, 2003, 2002, 2003, 2001. These are the ones that I was trying to rewire to Cubase SX to give a better mix down. So I was, these are nearly 20 years old, some of these tunes, but I still absolutely love them. And I really want to have an archive of them, a proper released compilation of Powder Monkey tunes, for posterity, for my own pleasure, but hopefully for the pleasure of other people too. So dozens and dozens of Reason songs that I finished and completed, and I absolutely love. But how do we now get these into a format where I can give them a proper mix down? Well, in the old days, what you would have done is you would have routed each of your instruments to this audio input and output, section, and then you would load up Logic first, then you would load up Reason, and Logic in the mixer would now find all of these different tracks. So I tried that, and it didn't work. And then I read that Reason 12 has disabled Rewire. Because you can obviously use Reason instruments as VST and audio instruments in your DAW. Well, that's great, but still doesn't account for the project. And I don't want to just export MIDI and put MIDI files in, because I have effects and I have decisions that I made creatively, and albeit some of them very bad, I'm not gonna shy away from that, because this is 20 years ago. But some of my projects are very complicated. Now, if we have a look at this track here, for example, called Pervert, I completely forgotten I'd even written this, so it was a complete joy when I found it. And it really goes to show, for me, Reason was a hugely creative tool. And I was able to do so much automation with it, which I probably don't do quite as much today. But if I have a look at the project, enable the mixer, rack, I have a lot of wiring. And I have at least 3 mixers. Some of these mixers have got automation on, like these. So I'm going to have to make a note of that automation. If I bypass the mixer and route all of these instruments directly into the sound card, then I'm going to lose all of that. So it's a creative decision about what do I keep and what am I going to have to sacrifice in order to get the audio files. And that's what I'm trying to work through. So a project like this, which is pretty chunky, I'll give you a little play. Whoops, take it back up. Yes, it's called Pervert. And he had this set of so much fun with the NXT in particular. See the notes being triggered down here.
You like that?
Tune today. We're going to look at something called March of Time, which is a very different flavoured track. And really, why March of Time is a good one to look at is because it's quite simple. If we have a look over here on the right hand side, when we drag down, we've got one mixer, only 5 drum hits, Dr. Rex. We've got 3 samples on the NNXT. We've got a sample patch for the sub, so that can go to its own output. And just a couple of other instruments. So let's just have a quick listen to this so you get a feel of what it sounds like. I really love this tune because it's a really nice little stepper. All about the steppers. Turn it up. going to mix this down properly, they're going to need a little bit of treatment, I would think. Really lovely bass line. Which I've got, you know, I never really, I had no idea what I was doing with these compressors. But I'm going to keep it in, and it may not be right, in inverted commas, but I want to keep it in because it's got that flavour that I decided was right, you know, 20 years ago. Same for the EQing. I mean, I'm just doing big lumps here. I could probably bypass that. It's not doing anything. Another nice Dr. Rex with some percussion. And one thing I do have as well is 3 vocal hits. Now they were originally running through this, I had it set to 5 I think, and they were originally running through this delay. It might help if I turn the bypass off, apologies. But I've got a slight issue with I've got a bass sample later, and I've got them all on they're all running out the one output, and I really probably want to bounce down, so I think I'm probably going to bypass that and just remember that I've got a delay on there, sort of like, you know, a 5th delay, would that be right? Or at least 5 steps. In terms of milliseconds, it's 428, so again, I could refer back to that. So, what do I do now in order to get these out? Well, joy of joy to my discovery in that in Reason 12, you now have a bounce mixer channels section, which is fantastic. Now, that doesn't mean that you can bounce these mixer channels. It's referring to these mixer channels. And so this is a new device that we need to route all of our sounds into, but it's really easy to do. So you could do it in this space over here just for a bit of clarity, or you could move it here. As far as I can see, if I was to create a mixer channel on the redrum, now in the old days you used to sort of get auto wiring. I don't know if that will happen anymore. So if I was to create a mixer channel, to me, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't wire anything. So it's pointless, to be perfectly honest. So I'm going to create various mixer channels. How many have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 redrums. But one of those is already a redrum, so I think that's 15 mixer channels I need to create. Now this is a bit like watching paint dry. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It'd be nice if you could just redo, but you can't, unfortunately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think I need 2 more. Cool. And now I can start routing everything through. So let's leave the redrum for the moment and let's go straight with whatever's in the mixer. Again, it's really annoying. It doesn't drag both stereo cables. You'd think it would. I swear it used to do that in the old days. Just quickly go through this. Notice how it's also renaming the mixer channel as well, which is very useful. Subtractor is obviously mono because that's it's always been. Now you could, if your devices were all the way down the bottom, you could right click and choose where you want to connect from. But I'm just not going to bother doing that right now. And of course, you can drop these mixer channels above existing devices. I mean, these were written with probably, reason 2? Probably reason 3. I think that's when the NNXT came out. These are very, very old versions. And of course, as the files change and the instruments change, you lose the benefits of not keeping up to date. So, last one on the main instruments. Wobble of it. And then we'll do our redrum outputs. So, we'll go into there. And now see, crazy, isn't it? This is doing it in stereo. I don't get it sometimes. Maybe it's by design. I think that's all of them. Is there a 6th? No, I got it spot on. So, now have fully fledged mixer section right hand side. Oh goodness, that sounds terrible. Why is that phasing? I wonder if I've got double notes. I might have to go back and just check that out. I really want to do as little editing in Reason as possible, unless there's some terrible quantizing or an issue like that, which I can kind of hear as there's some phasing going on. Maybe I've got patterns running and notes in the Reason pattern. What's that there? Sounds like it should be right, but I will do a double check a bit later. My lovely wobble. Again, it's quite useful that you can actually go straight to the sequence. And so I can hear like a bit of a knock. But again, I can process that out in Logic, or Bitwig or whatever I choose to do it in. Perfect. So now I can go to File, Bounce my mixer channels, and I don't need mixer 1, but I can select all the rest. All my redrum channels. And then I get various options. So do I want to do the whole song length? Well, yes I do. What bit rate and sample rate do I want to do them in? AIFs or WAVs? I'll keep them at 44 because I can't believe they're going to be... These samples are so old, there's no way that they would have been 96k, so I can't see the point in that. I'm not bouncing to them to the Reason song, and I've got options here. So in the more complicated songs where there are mixer options, I might keep the fader section, for example, and panning. But in this instance, I'm not using the top mixer anyway, so to be honest with you, it's kind of irrelevant. And then I can bounce it down. So I need to choose a folder. I've done a couple already yesterday, which is great. And then it should do its magic. And it shouldn't take too long. Now, one thing to be aware of is that this is an RPS file. So this is a Reason Publish song. And what does that mean? Well, it means that I can't save what I've done here. Now, I do have the RNS file, which is the Reason, I don't know what the N stands for, normal. I could save that, but I can't find some of the original samples because this file's 20 years old and I've probably been a bit bad with sample management. So it's useful to be able to do this and export it. And what it means is that I'm committed. I'm now committed to this audio when it comes to mixing it down. And to be honest with you, I do that with all my projects, and I think most producers do this, is that you're going to commit to the audio file. So if we go and have a quick look for audio today, and there's all of my files. So let's have a quick search for the sub bass. Lush. So let's get rid of Reason. Let's open up Logic very quickly. Yes, I've got to go through this terrible waves skipping nonsense. Go away. Let's just do something new. Audio file. Let's drop them in. There we go. And now I can start to mix this down. And correct probably some of the mistakes and the decisions that I made all those 20 years ago. So I just wanted to show you how you can get your old Reason projects out and bounced and into whatever DAW you're using now, or back into Reason if that's what you want to use. And then you can do it for minimal cost and without committing to paying hundreds of pounds for the software. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. If you've liked this video, give us a subscribe. I might do a few more Reason exports and mixdowns, particularly complicated ones. But yeah, thanks for watching, and keep making music.